Hello there, it's Karen Hollenbach from Think Bespoke, your 5-minute LinkedIn marketer. Now, today I'd like to talk to you about the subtle art of blending curated, owned, and promotional content, especially from your LinkedIn page, so the company page experience. And what I'm finding is I'm getting an increasing number of questions about the structure of a post. Now, in a recent episode, we talked about the algorithm, so I'm not going to sort of reference that specifically. However, I do want to dive into the minutiae of blending the call to action within a post that is a curated post. And so I'm going to share a discussion I had with someone during a lunch and learn as part of today's episode. And really, what I want you to consider is, do you have a strategic content framework, a roadmap, let's call it, for your overall LinkedIn company page game plan? Because I feel in a lot of instances there's an absence of a strategy. And so people sort of sweat how to tackle every single post, and are they getting the call to action in there, and do people know that they can then contact them, versus taking a bit more of a strategic outlook. Now, in this particular example, I'm asked what I think of the idea of sharing a really useful article in the area of of the promise that this particular page has made and the value it's trying to provide the followers. And then there's this idea of this structured and quite formal call to action within the body of the post before sharing the article. So you'll hear my response to, I think I say, oh, yes and no, give an example, and then I say, actually, no. Have a listen.
Yes and no. So I think I would follow it up with a post like that, and that 10% of the time I would have that type of promotional post. So I think that if they kind of know that because it's coming from your company page. And so I sort of feel like if you do that, you're giving with one hand and taking with the other. Mm-hmm. So it's almost better to share the content with the view of, we genuinely want you to read this because we know you're following this page and you care about sales leadership and sales enablement. So I really like the fact that you've even got those topic headlines. You really understand this is really specific what we're sharing. You can, so it depends. So this is why I'm saying yes or no. What you're recommending is a very formal call to action, that sometimes what I do is say, oh, and if you want to talk about this any further, you know who to ask, right?
Yeah, okay.
And so and that completely depends. So that's consistent with the Think Bespoke brand. We're always here to be helpful. We will help first before the transaction, but we know that by helping, we will get actively referred and be asked to help solve clients' problems. But please don't be afraid of sharing highly valuable content with the view that you will still get contacted. And the best way to think about that is, I want the content that we share from the Think Bespoke company page that's not owned content, it's curated content, to be, gee, that was useful, gee, that was helpful. I'm going to save that. I'm going to pick up that link and email it to myself and put it into the important to read box. Because if you are sharing that type of content that really allows you to cut through to your followers, you will stand out and you will be their first choice. So don't be afraid to just share content that is helpful for your followers. Content marketing best practice is to share up to 50 to 60% of your content to be curated content. And so position it in a way. I do things like, you'll love this. Here's a handy guide. I shared this really complex LinkedIn resource recently on the company page. It was such a good read about thought leadership and the Edelman trust barometer. But I said at the start, this one's a little bit of a brain bender, but worth the read. And so this is where with your company page strategy, you've really got to get your tone of voice right. And you've really got to think about, what are we going to be? Are we going to be educational? Are we going to be humorous? Are we going to be clinical? Are we going to be authoritative? Are we, how are we going to show up? So I've kind of answered it and then some, but I think, no, don't do it. Do it as a separate.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for listening. If we're not already connected on LinkedIn, please do pop over there and invite me to connect. And if you'd like exclusive offers on our LinkedIn training and these LinkedIn marketing tips delivered to your inbox each month, please also sign up to my e-insights. Until next time.